Okay, let's hope this is working. This is working. You know, when you guys tell me that you can't hear or see me, I take that very seriously. So you know how many technical issues we be having around this mug. Um, yeah. If you refresh on your phone, I don't know how you do it. Maybe you have to go back out of it and then come back in or something. I don't know. That's a good question. That is a good question. But who has no sound and no video? You have to refresh your thing. It seems to be working fine. All right. Anyway, let's get going. This is Sunday. This is Shit Talking Sunday. I took a couple of days of rest, so I didn't do shit yesterday. I thought about doing something. Actually, I had a script ready, and then I passed out on the couch, and then nothing happened, and that was the end of that. So I hope you guys had a good weekend so far. I wanted to talk about something that I've noticed on the channel. I don't know if you guys, have seen all the numerous comments by guys when they come on, and they always, identify themselves as MGTOW. And when they come on, they have the nerve to they always talk about stuff like from the ancient history, from from the past, like all women always this, and in my time this, and well, my first girlfriend that, and my wife this, and they always talking about some shit that happened when they was like teenagers or even younger or early adulthood, and now these guys are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and sometimes even 60s, and they are still talking about some stuff, some woman who either divorced them, broke up with them, or who didn't get with them, rejected them, maybe dated for a hot minute, then didn't go any further, and they hold on to that forever. MGTOW, MGTOW, all of the above. I've just noticed this over and over and over, and it's like they just can't let it go. They just keep talking about it. There's this one guy whose name I will not mention. Not only is this dude, he's still talking about some stuff that happened when he was in high school. This man is damn near 70 years old, and he comes on the channel, and he always makes the same comment about how when he was in high school, some girl rejected him, and so now he doesn't do it, even though the motherfucker's married now, and I don't know if he's got any kids or whatever. But anyway, he's married and, whatever. But he's still talking about that one woman who didn't want him. And that's what I want to talk about today, because it seems like this is like a thing with men. It's like whatever that one woman that didn't want them, they can't fucking let it go. They hold on to it like a damn crab. And I've went, so I was thinking about it. So I went online. I'm like, I like to subscribe to these medical and research websites where they produce studies, and they have reports of studies, and when they're setting up a study or the study tentative results, this kind of stuff. So you get kind of an advanced look at what's called on, what's going on in research. Most of it, of course, does not pertain to anything I'm doing. Cloning and gene whatever, and splicing, and this and that, diseases, different. Okay, I'll skip all that stuff. But whenever they have anything that has to do with the mindset of humans, into investigation into people's emotional states, mental illnesses, this kind of stuff, I'm like, I zero in on that. So there's this one study, um, and it says that, okay, the study was produced evidently, what's this year? 20. Okay, so it was a couple of years ago that these tentative results were published, but and it was in the UK, and there were over almost 5,800 participants. So this is, pretty comprehensive, and it covered 96 different countries. So it wasn't just in the UK, but that was the source of the survey. It was done at Binghamton University. Okay, so they say that women are hit hardest emotionally after a breakup, but that men suffer more in the long term, and that men never may never truly get over a breakup. And so I'm reading this, I'm like, well, duh, you had to do a research study to figure that out. But it says that men suffer, women suffer more at first. You know, women will cry and get depressed and eat whole gallons of ice cream and, you know, just like lose weight and just, I mean, all kind of things that immediate, you know, why doesn't he want me, this and that. So women have like an immediate and visceral reaction. Hold on. Oh, today we're having cran raspberry LaCroix. You know, that's what I've been drinking. So women, you know, they just go crazy at first, right? You know, they want to cry, they want to call them, they want to understand. You know, why can't, why you leave me? Okay, but once that, you know, they pass through that phase, they, you know, kind of like, okay, well, whatever, let's move on to the next thing. Men, however, they still like try to avoid that immediate reaction. They will stuff it down and then they will try to hurry up and like bury it by getting with some other woman. So men have tend to have a lot more rebound relationships than women do, and that's something we're gonna have to talk about. You all who get caught up in those situations and think that, you know, the guy's gonna get with you or something. Um, but it says that wait a minute. Uh, 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 there's so much data here. Okay. The average age of the participants was 27. They asked questions of, like, have you experienced a breakup? How severe was the breakup for you emotionally? Who did you feel initiated the breakup? What sort of physical responses did you experience as a result of the breakup? And so people had, you know, they rated from 0, which was, you know, like none, no reaction, nothing, to 10, like off the charts, unbearable agony, this kind of stuff. So what it ultimately concluded is that 75% of the respondents, I mean, this was like 5,800 people, had experienced a breakup. Women tended to take the breakups harder and reported significantly higher levels of emotional responses than men do. They also showed a higher fear response and experienced unwanted weight loss or gain after a breakup. Now, the fear response is fear that, you know, nobody's going to want them anymore. They'll never find anybody else like that. You know, I wasn't good enough. You know, a lot of that kind of like blaming of themselves or whatever, you know, fear of moving past it and getting on to the next person. But it says things even out a bit when it came to how men and women assessed their own responses to the heartbreak. Both sexes averaged a 7 out of 10 when asked to rate the intensity of the breakup. And women said more often than not that they were the ones that initiated the breakup. Lack of communication was the most common reason for the split. So this is where it becomes interesting. I mean, think about this. Okay, because they're giving two very interesting pieces of information here. Women have the most devastating emotional response to the breakup. Yet, women were also the same parties who initiated the breakup. So that means that women would break up even though they were going to have the hardest emotional response to it. Why do you think that is? Isn't that interesting? It's like they know it's going to hurt. They know it's going to be awful, but they would rather break up with a motherfucker than continue to suffer in the relationship, whatever agony that they're going through. Isn't that interesting? So what does that mean? That means women are going to take a lot less shit from men than men want them to. And that's where it becomes, to me, where it becomes down, when it comes down to it, is that women have more to lose in a relationship. You know, they have more to lose. I mean, you figure we have a good window of opportunity for prime fertility. And a woman with any sense is not going to waste that on a man in a relationship where she's not going to be getting what she wants, which is, you know, commitment, a husband, a father, somebody who's devoted to her, who's got, you know, his shit together, who's going to be, you know, rolling with her forward in life and all of this kind of stuff. So I thought that, wow, this is like fascinating that women would rather, you know, suffer that emotional hit than to be bothered with a man in a relationship that wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. I'm like, wow, this is just really some fascinating stuff. Okay. Um, so women are making a decision to change their life and change it for the better, right? And they allow themselves to do something, um, to have their emotional reaction. They don't feel embarrassed about it. They don't feel ashamed. They don't feel judged. They don't, except in the black community, of course, because then here people come and hit you with that. You can't keep a man. You don't know how to get a man. You can't even keep a man. You got to leave your man, or worse yet, from the dudes. You should have picked right. You should have picked better. So, I mean, that may be true. Like I said, this was done in the UK at a university in the United Kingdom, not in the United States black community, which has a completely different culture where women are blamed for fucking everything. So in this situation, they say that, well, it's like breaking up is empowering for women, and if they don't really feel any shame of it or they don't get any judgments, well, that's not quite true when you look at our culture, like I said, because people blame you for losing your, losing a man, and are still being single. And then, like I said, if it blows up in your face and the guy turns out to be a knucklehead, then you get blamed for choosing him too, because you should have picked better. So you're damned if you don't pick one, because then you just single and ratchet. Or if you do pick one and he turned out to be an idiot, well, then you should have picked better. So for black women, it's not quite the same. But I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. They're not really talking about any one particular culture. So, then it got interesting. I was looking at some of the stuff where they were talking about first loves, and that's what I noticed when the guys post stuff on the page here on on YouTube. They tend to be talking about their first big romance. Oops, my phone. I forgot to turn it off. Their first big romance, like the woman that they loved enough to marry, or some girlfriend that they had in high school that they was just batshit crazy about. If that woman, that first woman that they gave their little heart to, breaks their heart, and they break up, or she decides he's stupid and she don't want to be bothered with him anymore, whatever, they get married into divorce, whatever happens, they carry that pain with them until the grave. And even though they might get with another woman, and even though they might marry someone else and be perfectly happy apparently with someone else, they would be like this one guy who was interviewed for this article, and he was talking about his first love, and the passion that he had for her and all this kind of stuff. And he says, if she walked through the door right now, I'd leave my wife immediately. Now he's saying it like a joke, but this is the truth, and this is something I keep telling you guys. Like in these videos that I'm doing, where they talk about, well, I'm gonna, women can take a man from somebody and all this stuff. You cannot do that. Don't ever blame another woman if your man goes to her. He goes to her because that's where his heart and his dick are leading him. She has nothing to do with it. It's all about him. And that's why you will see these women who, they get with a dude, he's broke up with somebody, or he got a baby mama or something, and he keep being back and forth, back and forth. Every time she calls him, he drops everything. He goes over there. Even though they're broken up, she might even have another man. It doesn't matter. She might even be married to somebody else. It doesn't matter. His heart is still with her, and it's going to be with her forever. And at least a big chunk of it, he might even do half and half. But she's never going to love anybody else the way that he loved that first woman. And unless you are that first woman, or unless you accept that and learn how to, if what he's offering you is going to be enough, just keep in mind she's his ideal. That's his ideal. His dream woman is her. Even if she was zit faced and pimply little teenager with fat rolls, it doesn't matter, because in his mind she's a goddess, and she's going to always be that way. And you're going to be competing with a ghost. Can't do that. So that's what I try to tell women. This thing about men, that a man will change for this one special woman kind of thing. You think you can make that happen? Whatever was his first love, that's the kind of woman he's gonna always go for, and that's the kind of woman that's gonna get his attention, and that's where his head is. Well, see, but it's like all men are like that. So I'm saying all men are like that. Um, because that's why so many second and third marriages don't last. whoever that man married the first time, if that woman circled back into his life, he would marry her again. And that's something you hear so many times where people get divorced and they marry somebody else and they go through all these changes, have kids, and then that first person pops back up, they remarry that person because that's what they love. That's where their heart is. But we're not talking about you, we're talking about men. And it's like, not if he left her. Keep in mind, that's not what I said. I said if she leaves him. Because they say most of the relationships are the woman initiates the breakup, the woman initiates the divorce, and the man is sitting there um, devastated about it. Now, when a woman leaves, she's like through. She don't give a fuck, whatever. She's moved on. I'm not talking about women's reactions to it. I'm talking about men's first love. Okay, you guys stay focused here. Now, the first part of this was talking about, the breaking up and how men stay holding on to that hurt forever. And the second part of that holding on is as them having this ideal woman. Their first love is going to always be like the shrine that they worship to as far as womanhood goes, and they just can't let it go. And so if that woman hurt them, that woman divorced them, that woman took the kids, this all the stuff. Okay, all of that's combined in with the hurt of the damage of their first love, and they never fucking get over it. That's why these dudes are throwing this channel 30 years later, still crying about what some woman did when she left them. You know, it just they just can't get over it. And it's just something about them. I don't know. They try to say that they're the stronger sex and stuff. They might be physically. I mean, they got the buff and all this stuff going on. But when it comes to emotional stuff, men are weak. When men are like newborn kittens with their eyes still closed. They just can't see nothing, can't do nothing, and that's why they get so crazy when a woman leaves them. And I'm not saying their emotional response makes any sense. I'm not saying that it's logical. I'm merely here talking about what is and how they tend to be. I don't know if it's socialization or if that, testosterone has to do with it. I don't know. The study didn't go into the whys. They just went into the what is. And then, you have to look at, okay, what is this socialization? I mean, it's just 96 different countries, though. Everybody can't be socialized exactly the same. So there has to be some common denominator when it comes to men. Is it because it be religion? Because Christianity and all that stuff, those are worldwide things. Could that have something to do with it? I mean, the study didn't go into all of that, and I couldn't find anything that did. So that's a big question mark. Why are men so fixated on the woman they love first, and why can't they ever let that go? Nobody seemed to know. All they're talking about in this study, though, is the fact that it is, and these are the reactions, the responses that men had to their questions, and blah blah blah. So yeah, you do have to be careful if you leave, especially if you get a man who's too overly attached like that, and they become like crazy. They just lose it, and it's like they feel some kind of feeling like their world has come to an end if this woman leaves them. And you got to realize too, in a lot of situations, we have a lot of emotional support. We have women that we talk to. We have social clubs we go to. People go to church and they have women have their little sorors and they stuff. They have best friends that they had since high school or elementary school or whatever. Women tend to have a lot of places where we can, vent and talk and cry and laugh, and other women will support us. Even on, in a situation like this is online, but people come here and we do what we can, and it's on the internet. So I mean, that's something that women tend to do for other women very easily. It's not even questioned. We treat the other women like our sisters, and we give them the emotional support that they need in that moment, right? Men don't tend to have that. If a guy comes and he's upset, other dudes are not gonna say, "Oh man, I'm sorry, your heart's broken, dude, let's cry it out." Give him a hug or something. They're not gonna do that. They gonna be like, motherfuckers, man up. Why are you crying? And be crying over some bitch. Go and get you a new bitch. There, dime a dozen. So it's like these guys don't feel like they have a place or an environment where they can really let that go. So you got millions of men trying to, keep their face straight and hold in their hurt and everything. So it tends to come out in self-destructive ways. They get drunk. They want to go beat up something and fight and get stupid. They, do drugs and stuff. Or they go and find the woman. They become like a stalker and they go and find the woman and they want to do physical damage to her because they haven't dealt with their emotional response in a sane and healthy way. They don't deal with their grieving. They push it down and let it turn into anger. And that seems to be the only way that's they feel safe and that's quote masculine enough for them to do it. So it creates a very dangerous situation for the woman who wants to get out of that relationship because usually you have a guy like that, right? When we're in a relationship, what do? You become like their best friend, right? They tell you everything, even that they got a zit on their ass. They want you to look at it and see it and all that stuff. And then, it's like you become their everything. That's dangerous. Don't let a man get you into that situation. You insist that he have some other activities and some friends and socialization in your relationship. You have to make them do that. I know a lot of women are like, well, I like, when it's just the two of us. I like us being together. We do everything together. That's stupid. You're putting yourself in a very high risk situation doing that because if the day comes where he decides he's gonna start beating on your ass or doing something else stupid, and you decide you don't want to be with him anymore, you have set yourself up for the devastation because once you leave, he'll have nothing. His whole world will be empty because everything that he has, everything that he does, everything he thinks, every place he goes, every meal he has, everything that he does in his life involves you. And suddenly you're not there. What do you think is going to be going through his head? You know? Oh, your dad had a hatred for women because of the grandmother. She was too young. Well, yeah, that's a problem when people have kids too young. I tell you, I'm the, I am like the poster child for people to get an abortion when they too young. Either you're too young or you're too silly and you don't have no money. You got to have all of that, your maturity and stuff together. Your wallet got to be tight. All that stuff got to be on hit if you're going to be somebody's mama. It requires too much. And if either you or the child or probably usually both of you will suffer. This is it. We're still talking about, well, it's not about MGTOW men per se. That was what triggered the show, the MGTOW postings on my wall. Those were the guys who were constantly coming here whining about some woman from their past, 20, 30 years ago when they were still teenagers, early 20s. How somebody, didn't want to go with them to the prom. And these dudes are now in their 40s. Are you kidding me right now? What are you doing? You have kids going to the prom and you still talking about your ugly ass going to the prom? Wrinkled up old crunchy fool? And you still talking about that? You were 17. Now you're 52 and you still talking about it? See? No. I just can't with these dudes. They're just fragile. That's an excellent choice of words. They're very fragile. Now, who wants some fragile ass man? Little dainty fuck? See, I don't like all that. I don't like no dainty ass man. Yes, I'm familiar with all them dudes. I've already done videos about them. But this isn't necessarily about MGTOW. Okay, let me get that straight. This is not about MGTOW. This is about the men who came and made the postings on the wall whining about women who happen to identify as MGTOW. And I've noticed that all of them who do that, like who identify as MGTOW, all have the same mindset. That's what I'm saying. There's a common ground there. But this is not about MGTOW. This is not about red pill. That's irrelevant because we know men who do not identify that way who have the same mentality. Okay. Oh, they might be traumatized, but who gives a fuck? You telling me women aren't traumatized? Women are traumatized. I mean, like from birth damn near. But you don't hear us whining about the shit forever, except for that lady whose letter I did. When was that? Last Tuesday? Oh my God, that chick was special. She was just doing the most. Talking about some stuff when she was 5. And she's in her 40s now and still talking about that and crying about it and resentful. Okay, she was an exception. Usually you don't have women acting like that. They will tend to let stuff go and move on, especially when it comes to relationships. They'll try again. They're more, more courageous. It might not work out, but they'll be more introspective, or, what am I doing wrong? Why am I attracting this kind of man? Women will tend to look at themselves, which is the mature thing to do. Not necessarily, it's not necessarily that you did anything wrong. It's just that maybe you're just not recognizing certain behavior patterns in men and how those are going to play out, which is what tends to happen when women are very young. They don't know what to look for and what the red flags are. They just don't know. So they get involved with a guy because they like the guy, right? He was funny, he's cute, he was attentive, he was smart, he was, those kind of things, but they don't know what other things to look for. So that's why they come here and we educate them. But if you have a situation, we're not talking about that. The guys aren't talking about that. All the guys are focusing on is the fact that this woman left them. She didn't want them. She divorced them. She took their kids. Marriage is supposed to be forever. This and that. So they're looking at the woman's actions without any kind of thought about what did you do and say, or what you didn't do and didn't say, contributed to her leaving you. Because women get married, they're not getting married just to get a divorce. They told you they want to be with you. They loved you. You fucked it up. That's what happened. You dudes, you fuck it up. And then you get upset because she gets tired of your shit and leaves you. And you want to say, well, you're supposed to be forever. You thinking that people are just going to sit there and take your shit for 30, 40 years like old women used to do? We have options now. They didn't have them. We have jobs. We have the college degrees. We can drive. We can vote. We can do all kind of shit now that women 100, 200 years couldn't do. Okay, but now, so we don't have to stay with you if you fuck it up and acting a fool. Making babies everywhere you go, coming home with the STDs and shit, and not working and doing all kind of shit, gambling away the money, being an addict of any kind. Women get sick of your shit. You're not you're pulling your weight. You're not holding your end of the deal that you made with her when you took those vows. You changed the contract midstream. Once you do that, it nullifies, it voids the contract. So she no longer has to stay with you. You agreed to perform to a certain standard when you got married. When you fall down on that job, when you try to switch up and change it, when you go and involve some other bitch in a relationship, you do all this bullshit that you guys do, and then you think that she's gonna stay with you and you get mad because she doesn't. You're dreaming. You're drunk. And that's the shit that gets on my nerves. It's not all her fault. They want to control something. They want to think that they can do anything they want to do and treat you any kind of way, and that you're supposed to stay there and take it. And then when you don't, then they want to come on my channel and rant and rave and talk about, you bitches and you women and you just this and that. And you don't have any commitment, and that's why they want a foreign woman who's gonna stay with them and all this and that. And we did that show with Christine Johns, and she talked about how they treat their foreign brides and the control and the abuses that those women have to deal with. But see, American women and European, UK women, they have options. They don't have to deal with that shit. We're citizens. We have jobs. We have passports. We don't have to deal with your shit. So it made you grab your invisible pearls. Ah. Why do you think women are getting high-paying degrees to get away from men? Oh, I think a lot of it is, these are things that women were denied because men knew that women were smarter than them. Not only do we have intellectual intelligence, we have emotional intelligence. When you put those two things together, you're unstoppable. What's missing in most women, though, is self-esteem. So they have those things. They have the emotional intelligence. They have the intellectual intelligence. But if they don't believe in themselves, they don't believe that they can fly high through the sky, then they're not going to do it because they're going to feel like they're afraid that some man won't want them, or that they're not good enough and stuff. You guys, just all these mind games been played with you. So you have all these skills and stuff, but you're not really embracing them. You're not really using them. You're not really actualizing the power that you have at your fingertips because you're afraid of what people are going to say or what people are going to think about you. And you need to understand, you rolling like that, girlfriend. Don't worry about what some low-life, skanky motherfuckers, male or female, have to think about you. Do you. And be proud of you. You've done great things. You've accomplished great things, and you don't worry about some man. Let them worry about themselves. So many women, oh,
but I don't want to have too much. I don't want to do too much because, my future husband, I don't want him to think I don't need him.
If he's that insecure, then you don't need him. You got to understand what you're doing here. So you're going to downplay your greatness because of what some man that you haven't even met and might never meet might possibly think about you? You know how stupid that sounds? Who does that? But a lot of women have that mindset. And they be worrying about some man they ain't never met, ain't seen, don't know nothing about in the future. I don't get it personally. Oh, and then they think they know everything? Oh, yeah. And then when you show them up, then they want to call it emasculation. Exactly. Good comment. Because that show is what they do. I mean, some guy even asked me posting on my wall the other day, and I let it go live because it wasn't foul or anything. But it did cause me to think. Now you know all the stuff I do. You guys see what I've learned, because you all who are my followers know. Like a couple of months ago, somebody said, "Deb, you should do live streams." I'm like, live stream? I don't know what the fuck is that. So I looked at it. I had to figure everything. I taught myself everything. I created everything on this channel. Every graphic you see, every background you see, I found all the software I used. I trained myself on how to do it. I did that shit. Okay. So I know I am a very smart person. If anybody else can do it, I can do it, and I can do it better than they can eventually. That's my thing. That's how I do about myself. So you guys who know this knew none of this was happening like 3 months ago because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Live stream, I didn't know nothing about it. But now this is what we have here. Okay. So if you are a woman and you have that kind of confidence in yourself, a lot of men will find you intimidating. So this is what one guy said on the thing. He posted this comment. And he's like, Deb, you so smart and you know a lot of shit and stuff. It seems like it would be very hard to impress you. How would a man impress you? Do you know? I sat there and I stared at that for a long time. And like I said, I don't even remember what video it's under, but it's on the channel somewhere. And I stared at it for a long time because I don't even know if he knows how deep that comment was, really. But you're why do you feel like you need to impress me? Let's start there. Why do you feel like you need to impress a woman? What you need to do, not by what you know and this and that, you impress her by how you treat her. Okay, that's not hard. You be a stand-up dude and you be kind and sensitive to her needs and responsive and be the man that you say you're going to be. That will impress her. That's all you need to do. It's not about you making grandstand things of, and all this kind of stuff, these external things that guys try to do. I mean, yes, you got to have some money. I mean, there are certain MQs you got to have. But as far as, impressing me, that would be something in any woman. What makes us sit back and go, well, damn, and look at you appreciatively is not about the external things. It's about who you are as a man and how you present yourself and how you treat her and other women and people in general. Do you command respect from women and your community and even the people in your family? Are you respect worthy? Are you someone who people like to be around and they just like look forward to being in your company? If you have things like that going for you, then you're going to make a quote impression, and it'll be a very positive one. And it'll just be very easy for you to get a woman, pretty much any woman that you want. I mean, as long as this is not looking like hideous, you present yourself like that, you will get the attention of pretty much every woman. What we have though on these that comes here are people who are nasty, negative, whine, complain, bitch, moan, grump and gripe, call women ugly names, want to put you on other ugly labels, and talk about you, your mama, your age, your face, your weight, your body. They do all this negative, nasty stuff, right? And if they do this online, you know how they would do people face to face. And then they wonder why no woman wants them. And when they say, well, you women don't know how to pick. No, we do know how to pick, and we know how to pick somebody who's got some sense, which isn't you. So that's why you're single. And that's why you're going to be alone, because nobody's going to want you. So I thought, I just wanted to bring that into the conversation because I thought, wow, how does a man impress a woman these days when women have their own, And I'm telling you, I sit there and I looked at that for a long time, and it was like my brain started racing because I think, that question, like I said, was a lot deeper It had a lot more meaning than I think he even realized. Yeah, they refuse to work on themselves to become decent people, she says. They just want control. Oh, honey, control, control, control. Control is all they want. It's unbelievable. So, women, I think, in the study we're talking about women's choices, women choosing, and the researcher, the head researcher at Binghamton University for the study I was talking about how men get over breakups, says that the differences in his assessment after reviewing all the data, the differences boil down to biology. He feels women have more to lose by dating the wrong person, and are better at accepting that a choice didn't work out and that a relationship is over, and selecting a new partner. And he says women, simply put, have evolved to invest far more in a relationship than a man. A brief romantic encounter could lead to 9 months of pregnancy, while the man may have, quote, left the scene literally minutes after the physical encounter. And I think that's one reason why I keep trying to get young women especially to understand you can't be having babies with everybody that you sleep with. And me and Misha are gonna eventually, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, get together and do that show that we tried to do on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, um, talking about stupid breeding. That was the title of the show, stupid breeding. And this, it gives even more credence to the fact that women need to take their time, because what you see may not always be what you get. A lot of guys can put on a good show and give you those social aspects of impressing you. But then when it comes to what kind of man he is, that's when the pot dries up. There's nothing there. You realize it's too late. Now here you are pregnant by the fool, and then you having some fool's baby, and he's gone. Left the scene months ago or weeks ago or even this morning, and now you're stuck. So that's what I'm saying. You can't be having these fool's babies. You cannot do that. And I don't give a fuck if you've been with him for years and years. I mean, if you've been with him years and years and he's not married to him, well, that's another thing you need to ask. Why not? Why are you two not moving forward to provide your child with the legal protections of marriage? What's the holdup? Men think it's rocket science, and they are bad at STEM. It's not rocket science. I mean, it's just be a decent person. I don't understand how that's so hard. I don't understand the problem that why that's such a big deal for men. Um, and then he says that that same need to choose a good mate makes women very selective about who they date. So they're good at enlisting the support of their friends to pull through and choose someone else. That's what I was saying earlier. And I also think, there was a guy made a post, and this has been the situation with many videos that I've talked about on this channel too. Men think that you guys, we women, are too picky, that we're too selective. Our standards are too high. What that means is these guys don't meet them, and they're being locked out of the selection pool because they don't meet the MQs that most women are looking for. Most of those MQs have to do with presentation, ability to communicate, ability to get along with women, and levels of respectful treatment and speech patterns when it references females. And men don't get it when they don't do that kind of thing. They don't talk to women like they have some sense. They don't show levels of respect that are make women open up to them and trust them. Then you're not gonna get no date. You won't be getting no pussy either. It's just not gonna happen. So this guy, he says women are more selective, but men are more competitive, meaning that they see the loss of a woman that they viewed as a good catch, that if they'll feel that deeply for months or even years, try decades. And that's what I'm saying. If he feels like this first love he had was like his dream girl. So that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. It's not going to be a dream girl by your standards. It's going to be by his. So whatever he imagined that, he wanted, the way he wanted to feel when he was in a relationship, that was how he felt with that woman. So that woman is the one he associates with that feeling. So for him, he can't get that feeling again unless it's that woman that he's involved with. So he's too tied to her. And just as one of the commenters pointing out, those are the kind of situations where, when the woman does leave, the guy flips the fuck out and just starts acting stupid. So he says, the study guide, what's his name, Mr. Morris, he says the man will likely feel the loss deeply and for a very long period of time as it sinks in that he must start competing with other men all over again to replace what he lost, or worse still, come to the realization that the loss is irreplaceable. And because women have more to lose by choosing the wrong partner, they are also more likely to pull the plug on a relationship, with 70% of divorces in the United States filed by women. And actually, I heard that depending upon the socioeconomic class of the woman, like women with advanced degrees and they're making over $150,000 a year, the filing rate goes up as high as 95%. Because they really ain't taking no shit. The women who make a little less income, they might have some kids and they kind of waver or try to wave it out or something. Sister Rowland, she got her money, she got her shit together. She making 200, 300, $400,000, $500,000 a year. He don't act right. Next. Okay, 95% of the divorce filings are by women. Once the women have a lot of money, they ain't taking your shit, not for 1 second. So someone says there's more options for men than there are for us, and that they should be lucky if we acted like them. They would never leave the house. Well, okay, let's talk about that. There's more options for them. In sheer quantity, you are correct. You're correct. There are more, quote, women on this planet generally than men. In some countries, though, that isn't true. There's, like 20, 30 men to one, where they killed off a lot of the female children because of they wanted to have boys, and women didn't have values, and mercy killings, honor killings, and all this kind of stuff. In those such countries, I did a study on it when I was doing my show on Blog Talk. There's one country in the Middle East where there's 60 men to each woman because of those kind of situations where they've killed off all the females. China is, they're trying to correct it, but still, it's too late. So you have those situations. So, but by the time you still average it out, though, in general, there are more women on this planet than there are men. So men and sheer numbers do have more choice. However, let's reflect back to what I said at the start of the show. Whatever type of man fell in love with his first love, that's the kind of woman that he wants. Okay, so it could be some fabulous babe, but if she's not like that one, then he's not going to see her. She's not going to make his dick hard. He's not going to want her. Now, we're on the outside looking in. We're thinking, well, she's wonderful. She's smart. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous. She really loves you, this and that. He's like, yeah, 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 yeah. But if that first woman comes back in his life, he will drop that chick like a hot rock and all the kids that he had with her, everything, and run off back to this other woman. So when you look at this thing, there's more, they have more options. They really don't. It's their own doing, because they're limiting their view to a certain type of woman, a certain look. Even though they talk about, we do that because we want some, hypergamy, and we want a man who's got some money and who's got a personality and who's committed oriented and family oriented and all this and stuff. Okay, that limits our thing because we're doing it for biological reasons. But they're doing it, their choices have more to do with sexual reasons and what excites them sexually and what makes their heart beat hard, which is all tied together for men. And it's that certain type of woman, the woman he first fell in love with. Whatever that type is, that's what he likes. And if she doesn't look like that and make him feel like that, then he's not gonna really be tripping with her too hard. He might be there in fit in body, he might say he loves you and maybe marry you. But you're never going to get that same kind of excitement out of him, that same kind of passion. He's always going to be a little bit distant and, a little out of reach. You see him staring off into space sometimes, and you ask him, what's he thinking about? Nothing. He's thinking about that bitch. That's what he's thinking about. Trust me. And I'm not saying this because it's a jealousy thing. I'm just telling you how men are. I'm just telling you how men are. Somebody's on the wrong channel. What him say? Oh, the Hoteps use that high female population as an argument for polygamy. Yes, they do. They do. But Um, that's nonsense. That is very much nonsense. I don't. A lot of women will fall for that, unfortunately, but I don't know what to tell them about all that. Anyway, let me take a moment here to remind everybody to subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on Facebook or Twitch, feel free to navigate on over here to YouTube as well and become a follower on the YouTube channel, because there will be certain things that I do not cross stream. They're just going to be just on YouTube. And you need to make sure that you follow here. If you're one of my followers on Twitch, thank you very much. I'm still trying to grow that channel over there and do more with the youngsters. But shoot, just subscribe and be a follower, whatever you want to call it, on all three: Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. I'm on Twitter, which I'm starting to use more and more, with at Miss Heartbeat, MS Heartbeat. That's my handle over there. But I want to thank everybody for coming. So let's continue this conversation. That was my commercial. So what do you guys have to say about this? I really wish I could get vocals. I mean, auditory responses from you guys. But this is my assessment from everything that I've been watching. Thinking about men and watching since I've been online, and guys that I know, even my own brothers. They have a type. I dreamed last night about my youngest brother. He had this girlfriend. Oh my God, something about her reminded me of my mother. She was much more brown skinned, but I mean, her features and the way she carried herself and everything reminded me a lot of my mother. But he was just in love with this chick. Oh my God, he just thought she was just it. And then something happened, and she messed around with some other dude, and they broke up or whatever. She got with some other dude, and he was still trying to get her back. And then by then, she had gotten pregnant by the other dude, and this and that. So it just kind of fell apart. But my brother was just so brokenhearted, so brokenhearted. It was sad. It was so sad. But I remember, certain boyfriend, like this guy I was dating and stuff. It's like women that he had after me, people were calling me and tell me, he got this new girlfriend and she looks a lot like you. I'm like, what? Who could look like me? I'm one of a kind. But, I did notice that I saw some pictures of her later from his sister. I was like, kind of interesting. Yeah, they can't handle it. And that's what we're talking about, Crystal. It's like, it's just really hard for them. Oh, thanks, Tilly. Thanks. Yeah, it's just going to be a waste of time. So I don't know, why so many women think that, they're going through all these changes trying to earn a man's love and, lose weight enough and get this plastic surgery to be what he wants. And, I'm going to redo my hair, and I'm going to wear more makeup, and I'm gonna do this. I'll pick up his hobbies. They be going through all these changes. Girlfriend, this is it. This is the secret to knowing what's really going on with your dude. In my video on this channel, it's called "The Man Behind the Mask." Okay, it talks about some questions to ask a man on early dates. I'm not gonna say just first dates, but early dates, to get an idea of how he thinks and what is going on in his head. You must watch that video. And when you do, you'll understand. When you figure out what it is, what was his first love like? So tell me about your first girlfriend. Who's the first girl who broke your heart? And see what he has to say. Because whoever that is, and he starts talking about how long he was in love with her and all this other stuff, you will get to see how you and that woman are similar or dissimilar. And if you are very, very dissimilar, get up from the date and walk off. Do not invest any emotion in that, because he will never fall in love with you. Ever, ever. Because you are not even near like being, his type. He's the woman that he likes. It's never going to happen. Is this how all men are? What hope is there for us women in finding a loving, committed man, Deb? Well, there is hope. Definitely there is hope. Because there's two things. One is, if you find out what his type is and you're that type, you're close to that type, then you got it made. That type in looks, body, Whatever. I mean, whatever it is he tells you about what he liked about this woman, what made him fall in love, what makes him still think about her 10, 15 years later. If you're like that, then you have a chance. Okay, if you are very different from that, then you have no chance. You're like a snowball in a furnace. You about to disappear and just be wasting your time. The other thing is if you have a man who has never really been in love like that, you would be his. I mean, he might have liked some people, had some kind of casual. He liked the person and everything, but he wasn't like in love. Okay, so he was like, yeah, she's cool. We hang out, this and that, and whatever. Okay, then you have a chance because that man hasn't really given his heart to anybody yet. It usually for men happens one time in their life, really, maybe twice, like once when he's young and then once when he's older he realizes he was stupid. But what I'm talking about are the men who don't do that emotional growth, that introspection, and they stay stuck. They stay stuck emotionally where they were when they were in their teens. And so if you hear guys talking about the stuff that we're talking about today and they keep reflecting and keep bringing up shit from the past 20, 30, 15, 80 years ago, then he's stuck. He's stuck there. And you are just a placeholder in his life. You're just somebody for him to have sex with and not be bored and lonely, but you're never going to get his heart. He's never going to love you with his whole being. He's never gonna just be fantasizing about you and thinking about you with a smile on his face. You're never gonna get that kind of relationship out of him. Some women don't care. They just want to have, quote, a man. And as long as he's there and as long as he's around paying bills and they have a couple of kids and he takes care of business stuff, they really don't care. And those are the guys who have a woman on the side that is like that first love, or maybe it even is that first love, and he will keep her like as a side piece for years, decades sometimes. And so he's basically having two relationships: the woman he really loves and you. So I just want this is kind of like a warning video. This is a wake up call video for women, to look, and you can see like as you scroll through some of the comments, especially under the MGTOW videos, and any video like the one about Valerie Solanas and the female empowerment or why women don't need men, any of those kind of videos that have to do with female empowerment and women not needing men and not want to be bothered with men shit, you will see dozens and dozens of the kind of comments I'm talking about. And you can see how these guys will talk about high school, college, 12, 13. They're stuck emotionally. That's what I want you to be able to look out for when you start dating a new dude. Any kind of conversations like that come out of his mouth where he's still thinking about, like I keep telling you, if he's talking about some other bitch, that means he's thinking about some other bitch, and you need to know what time it is. Don't get mad at her that she's not talking about him. He's talking about her. So y'all be getting mad at her. And why that bitch thinks she's so special. Nah, nah, nah. It's not her. She don't have shit to do with it. It's him. He's stuck on her. You don't need to be angry at her. You need to understand what you're doing. He had a child at 17 and his girlfriend was 14. What? How did that happen? Where was her parents? He goes back to her. Oh, he's going to keep going back to her because that's his first love. I don't know, it's like the kind of thing a man could be like the guy said, if he's married, he got kids and stuff, but if his first love called him and man said that she wanted him back, he would drop everything and go. And even though he said it to the researcher like kind of jokingly, we know the cases where that's happened and it's absolutely true. That's it. That's what it is. Your brother doesn't have a type. That's because he's never been in love. That's I said, I was just explaining that. They'll be with somebody, it's cool. We hanging out, we having a good time, blah, 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 blah. He's not in love with any of those women. He likes them, yeah, yes, he may like them enough, in a buddy, friend, lover, homie kind of way, but he's not in love. When a man is in love with a woman, absorbs his thoughts. She absorbs his heart. He can't do enough for her. He wants to be there for her. But, hopefully then he would act right because those kind of guys are the ones that get stupid when you leave them. That's what I keep saying. It's great as long as they act right and you're happy. You're both happy. He's treating you well. You're happy. You treating him well. Everything's gravy. It's wonderful. It can stay wonderful for 40 years. But if he starts acting stupid, gets on drugs, starts thinking he's supposed to beat your ass. I mean, any kind of weirdness goes on, and the glow starts falling off, and you decide you don't want to deal with that mess anymore. This is gonna be a high risk situation, and that's when you need to get law enforcement involved for your own protection, because to leave a man like that is gonna be risky because they don't have good sense and they'll wrap too tight. Why should women fall in love? Well, that's a good question. You can answer that. You know, I would. That's hard to say. I don't, want to. No, love is something that you do fall into, because you can fall in. You don't. You can build with somebody for 20 years and still not be in love with them. See, that's something that is a mistake that you think, and a lot of men perpetuate that lie to women. That is faulty. Don't believe that shit, because they'll be having you quote building with them, and then they take that shit and skip off to some woman that they do fall in love with like that. I mean, it's just like that's how it is. Either men love you and they love you right, almost damn near right away, and that's just it, or they just don't. And when they really love you, then you don't have these problems out of them. They like Johnny on the spot. But women think that you have to build with them. You have to earn his love. You have to cook enough and clean enough and sex him like a porn star. And you have to do other stuff, and you don't have to do any of that. You know what I mean? The guy will fall in love with you at the first thing that you say. You just be walking by and he falls in love. I mean, men are weird. That's very strange. Yeah, Yeah, that's what's supposed to happen, babe. When everybody's supposed to be in the kitchen. Shit, everybody eating. Everybody using the bathroom. Everybody dirtying up sheets. So everybody need help do laundry. This ain't no what's one woman's job kind of mess. Mm-mm. Nope. 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 Woman finds someone that she could identify with, and the key word is man, not boy. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. But you know what I keep finding, is a lot of women having not been exposed to such an animal have no clue what a real man is. They know based on some imaginary stuff in books and movies. But I mean, in the day to day application of how does a man act, how does a man treat his woman, how does a man talk to his children, how does a man support his community, how does a man support his greater, extended family, what kind of temperament does he have, what kind of way does he let people talk, get over on him or whatever, how does he stand up for himself. All these kind of things have to do, these are the various different components of manhood. Is he striving? Is he planning? Is he building? I mean, what is he doing with his life? I mean, just because he's a male does not make him a man. And I think, a lot of young women having grown up with no daddy or grown up with a trifling ass daddy don't have a clue what that is. And the same with the young men who grew up also with no male role model of, excuse me, positive nature. They don't know what a man either. So he is either. So we have a lot of lost young people that don't know what the standards are for manhood, not masculinehood, manhood. And there's a difference between being a male and a man. Well, we talk, yeah, older tend to be a little bit more mature, but then they kind of, something happens and they, they kind of backslide. Because you get these old dudes that act like children. Um, yeah, my husband used to cook well, he cooked certain things better than I did. But when it came to stuff like the Creole and Cajun cuisine and stuff, he had to go sit down somewhere. But he could make, like barbecue and stuff. I mean, it was like whatever. He wasn't gonna starve. We could eat his cooking, but certain things he just did not know what he was doing, and so I would just take over the kitchen on those days. But in general, he did most of the cooking, and that worked for me. I did the dishwashing and he did the cooking. It was a great partnership. He is going to starve. You so mean. You are going to starve. You will starve. And she up there laughing about it too. That's too funny. Um, I think in all, this love stuff. I mean, you have to really give that some thought. Compare what you think is love to what how it's actually played out in a relationship. And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you to think. Just don't go blindly into stuff just because somebody says, oh, I love you. What does that mean? And that's what you need to think about. You think about it and then you ask him as well. Okay, well, you love me. How is that going to change my life? What does that bring with it? What are the expectations that, are going to be put on me because you love me? People don't want to have those kind of hard conversations. They just want to be like all up in the romantic fluff. Well, okay, if a guy tells you he loves you, what does that mean? Because women will tell me that, and I ask them, okay, well, he loves you, and okay, what does that mean? How does that look in a relationship? Where is that going to take you? What's going to happen because he loves you? What's changing? You know, what's jumping off? And most of the time, I'm saying 99.9% of the time, they just look at me. Well, what do you mean? We love each other. I'm like, okay, but I know this is a hard. People are like, you're just so pragmatic. That's not, you take all the romance out of everything. I'm trying to get you to think about, you better be thinking about taking the romance out of shit because that's how you get yourself involved in some nonsense. And then you be with, these women writing up here talking about they in love with some dude and then the dude springs on them. Well, but I like to have sex with other men. I have a boyfriend on the side. I experimented with it. I have another woman. I forgot, I'm a felon. I mean, all this other stuff comes with it. You need to ask these hard questions. You love me. What does that mean? What does that mean for me? What you doing? What's happening? Okay, because you love me. I mean, what? What does that do? And when I was young, I didn't know to ask this question. But see, now that I'm older, and you are that are young, I don't want you to have to waste time, 20 years figuring this out. I'm telling you now, so you can skip all that part. So this is something you need to think about. You got, game up now. You at 22, 25 years old. You got some shit in your head now that it took me till I was 30 to figure out. So if somebody loves you, what does that really, really mean? As I saw marriages around me from my friends, people got married way before I did, and kids and stuff, and they were so in love. And then the shit blew up in their face and crumbled. There was abuses, there was cheating, there was crackheadism, and all kind of nonsense going on. And it's like, okay, so if someone says they love you, you don't just run with that. You need to slow down and ask them, what does that mean and what does that look like? And not one of the women who are in my circle, my friends in college, student friends and everybody, not one of them asked the guy that question. And that's when I realized that this is a big part of the courtship process that nobody's telling young women to do. To really sit down and just yeah, your heart's beating hard and you're excited because this man loves you. But okay, what? So what, he loves you? What does that really mean? And what's gonna happen now because he does? And you need to ask that question, if to no one else, at least to yourself. You know. You on the floor with your wine glass in the air. Well, I do have a tendency to make up words, but see, y'all didn't know what I was talking about though, right? So I might have made up crackheadism, but I bet you everybody knew what I was talking about. So on the floor with a wine glass in the air, that's too funny. Well, you know what? She might even fell down, but I bet you she didn't spill a drop of that wine. She probably could roll down some stairs and she land at the bottom with her wine glass with not a nary a drop spilled from that bad boy. That's how us winos are. We ain't spilling our wine. So that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to, to bring to your attention today. This reality about men and their little hearts. If you got a decent dude and you're his first love, and he everything's rolling around, then it can be like that forever because that's it. And even though a guy might have loved, he's kind of was like I said, he kind of liked somebody, he was living with him, he have kids, whatever. If he wasn't in love with that woman, then you still have a chance because he could be you could still end up being the first woman he really is in love with. You know, I had an uncle who he didn't fall in love until he was in his early 40s. And that boy, I mean, my uncle was fine. And he used to have so many women, it was crazy. Just so many women. But, and when he was in his 40s, he fell in love. And it was the kind of woman we was like, what? How did this happen? But, that was who he chose. And so we all just roll with it. Yeah, these dudes on YouTube are a mess. Oh, Nick Noggery. I should make a damn dictionary because I have some doozies. I understand people be like posting them up and saying, you are crazy. How you be making up all this nonsense? But that's the main thing though. No matter what I make up, everybody knows what I mean. So that's the kind of a great communicator. As they say, ch 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 ch. It might be something. It ain't in no dictionary, but we all know what it meant. How do you forget that you're a felon? Where they do that at? They don't. They be hiding up stuff, hiding stuff from you. Well, that's the kind of stuff a quick background check will pull up. But warn people, do not depend solely on a background check because that only registers what they were actually charged with, they're convicted or whatever. If somebody's a slick crook, or never got caught, or is like did some deadly stuff and then everybody covered for them, like these child molesters that be in families, they don't want them to get arrested, so they cover for them. Motherfucker could have been molesting kids for 30 years, but the police would have not even a cent of it because it was covered up by the family. So that's what I'm saying. You can't. It's great to do a background check. Those good and weed out a lot of people. But it doesn't tell the whole story, even half the story. You have to still look for what kind of character that individual has, and how they conduct themselves. What kind of shit they into. Because, like I said, the real good criminals don't get caught. They set other people up to take the hit for them, but they don't get caught. And they just be the biggest crook in the world, having folks killed and all kind of shit be going on. But they'll never, nobody, And then here you are. Well, I did a background check, and it came back clean, and so he's good. We gonna date. And you up there with some old ratchet Nino Brown type fool. Nah. Oh, it was an eye opener. Well, that's what I try to do. Yes, these dusties, dust mongers. I was thinking about that. I did the Deb dictionary. I started making one some years ago, and I forgot. I lost the notes when I moved. I had like a whole sheet of words that I was gonna define. But I don't know. It just kind of hit me. That's how I get like moments of inspiration. It's not like this was a planned topic, or it's really like anything that's like totally researched and just written about and all this kind of stuff. It's kind of a collection of data and observations, and then problems that I've noticed where women don't understand what they're dealing with. And so I decided to kind of put it all together, the comments on the blog, comments from men, this is the MGTOW dudes, how women get, caught up when a man says he loves them. What does that mean? How men's hearts are, they stay stuck on the first woman that they love for like ever, for fucking ever. And what this all means to you who are out there now single and looking for love. This is something that just another thing that you might have to consider. Maybe not, but I always feel like maybe too much information is better than not having enough. And so, if you see any signs like these that I mentioned, the guy starts reminiscing about some broad from his past, well, then if he's talking to you about that woman, that he's thinking about that woman, and that woman is where his mind is, that woman is usually too where his heart is. So even though they try to act like they may be angry at her for her leaving them, abandoning them some way they felt like she mistreated them or whatever, that's still emotion. Because if you're not still tied to someone, then what they do, what they say, where they are, who they with, you gives no fucks whatsoever. You're like, good, I hope they happy over there. deuces. And that's, you don't get emotionally riled up about it. But these dudes will start talking about their exes and they practically have spittle coming from their mouth. They're foaming at the mouth. They're still angry about some shit that happened 30 years ago. That is a man who has not moved forward and who is stuck there emotionally, stuck still with that woman. His focus is still on her. And so, they may try to rant and rave about how what women aren't doing for them and how women don't want them and all of this is because women can see there's no point in dealing with you. You still emotionally tied over there somewhere. You're emotionally unavailable to any woman who comes along in your life now, and no woman who's healthy is gonna want to be with you because she's gonna recognize where you are emotionally. You have nothing to give to her. You're like a black hole, and so she would just be pouring her heart into you and not getting anything back. How many times do we see this in my advice column on the shows that we do on Tuesdays here? These women just loving these men, just giving them everything, doing everything for them, and the dudes treat them like shit and run back to their baby mama. They run back to their ex-wife. That's who has their heart. That's who they want to be with. And you're just the placeholder. And these women go through all, but I treated him so well. I did everything for him. He moved into my house. I took care of his kids. I took care of his mother. You did too much for a man who doesn't love you. He's never going to love you. I don't care what his lips say. If he's thinking about some other bitch, that's what his heart and mind is. You guys got to stop thinking that you can love him enough to make him not think about some other woman. That's who has his heart, and she's going to always have it until he decides that he doesn't want to love her anymore. He has to make that decision. It's not going to be anything that you do for him, no matter love you do, no matter crazy stuff you saw in Cosmo to make stuff more exciting, no matter Victoria's Secrets you wear, what skin color dye you use, bleaching agents, hair blonde, did you make your hair a different color, to get plastic surgery, none of that's going to make any difference. It won't matter. He loves her. And if she just does like this, he will drop you like you was yesterday's newspaper and be right back over there with her because that's where he wants to be. Maybe not, he knows it's a bad situation, but his heart is taking him there. And that's just where it is. That's just the way it is. Oh, you did a background check on your own mother. Yeah, they moving me in. I don't understand that. I don't want nobody moving in with me. I hate it when they even want to spend the night. I told you guys about that. I probably overshared, but I don't like. They used to be. This dude was happy. Ooh, he was so excited. He was like, "Why you get to spend the night?" He was like leaping around like a little kid, and I was like. And then when I woke up the next day and his ass was still there and he was grinning, I was like, I had my Kermit face on. I was like, why are you still here? And he was so excited. Mm-mm-mm. I'm like. He just jumping around, just excited, just happy, you know. So, I like to have my whole bed to myself. I'm telling you, I like to sleep diagonal. I have a queen size bed. I take up all the room, all of it. And it's too hot. So don't be trying to cuddle and do all that stuff. You're making me sweat. Get away. Go over there and turn the fan on. Too hot. Men are hot. Why are their bodies so? They have just like hot temperatures. Just makes you sweat. You didn't see my Kermit face? That's my Kermit face. Well, at least that's what my brother calls it. He calls it look like Kermit. And he called me Kermita. I have a crazy family. But yeah, constipated, all that. Just looking all twisted up in the face. Because I just like, go home. Don't you have a home to go to? Somewhere. I don't care. You don't have to go home. But you got to get the hell up out of here. That's what they used to say in the clubs, at least out here in Oakland. They just toss you ass out at 2 o'clock. Lights come on. You get to see how ugly everybody is. And then you break for the door because you're like, ugh, damn, you look cute when I was drunk and it was dark. Now I see the real you. I'm out. Can't get to your car fast enough. I'm telling you. But anyway, You guys, that's what. No, they make me sweat because their body temperature is too high. I don't know. Men just be hot. Their body just be hot. I don't know. They just have a high metabolism or something. I don't know what it is, but it just be making me sweat. Just being too close. And like you touch, you put your hands out and you can feel the heat generating. Just like I don't know. It's just be too hot. Oh, and farting. Oh God, Westy. I want you to stop talking right now. Oh, I don't know you, DJ. Smash and dash. Oh, well, I mean, what else is there? We talked before we smashed. Now we smashed. Now it's time for you to go. I mean, that's a full evening. You ate, you talked, and you smashed. That's the three things that we were planning to do here. Now that means it's time for you to go home. Bye bye. Bye bye. What you need to stay around here for? And I don't want to smell them snoring and shit. That gets on my nerves. Snoring, farting, smelling feet. They be scratching and shit. No! Go home. Go home. See, that's why I haven't gotten remarried. My husband didn't snore though, thank goodness. But I remember all that other stuff, and he'd be scratching and shit. Oh, this was like, I want you. It's like, go somewhere. Go somewhere. Oh my God. But anyway, that's enough of all of this. So I hope that was some good information for everybody to have. Um, where's my thing? I made a new. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. I made a new outslide for my videos here. But we'll be back on Tuesday. We got Tell It Tuesday. We're going to bring in the heat with the advice column and going over the letters that have come in this week. If you want to submit your letter, send it to survivingdating@gmail.com or right on the top of the YouTube channel. You'll see the submit button. And this is Deb Cooper from survivingdating.com.